Once upon a time, in a land where the mountains kissed the sky, and the wind carried whispers of ancient wisdom, a scholar traveled far and wide in search of the ultimate truth. His name was Tao, and his mind was as sharp as a blade. He had studied the great scriptures, debated the greatest philosophers, and mastered logic and reason. Yet there was something he could not grasp, a deeper understanding that eluded him. Driven by a thirst for knowledge that no scroll could quench, Tao journeyed to the renowned monastery of Lin, a place where the most enlightened monks were said to dwell. At the monastery's gates, the scholar was greeted by the humble Master Lin, a man whose presence radiated calmness and peace, as though he had transcended all worldly concerns. "Master Lin," the scholar began, his voice confident, "I have come to you seeking wisdom. I have studied the sacred texts, learned from the finest minds, and yet something is missing. Teach me, and I will become your most devoted disciple." Master Lin looked at him with kind, knowing eyes. He did not speak at once, but silently led the scholar to a simple room where a pot of tea waited. Without a word, Master Lin began pouring the tea into a small, delicate cup. Tao, ever so eager, watched intently, expecting the monk to begin his lesson. But as the tea filled the cup, it continued to pour, higher, higher, until it spilled over the edge and dripped onto the table, staining the floor. "Stop!" Tao exclaimed, his voice rising with irritation. "The cup is full. Why do you continue to pour?" Master Lin smiled softly, his hands still steady as the tea overflowed. "Yes," he said gently, "the cup is full, and so is your mind." The scholar was taken aback. "What do you mean?" Master Lin set the teapot down and looked at Tao with a serene expression. "You have filled your mind with knowledge, but it is crowded with ideas, assumptions, and pride. How can I teach you when your mind is already overflowing with what you think you know? To learn, you must first empty your cup." Tao's heart sank as the truth of the monk's words pierced his soul. All these years he had prided himself on his intellect, filling his mind with information, collecting facts and theories as if they were treasures. Yet in that moment, he realized that his very pursuit of knowledge had created a barrier between him and true wisdom. "True wisdom," Master Lin continued, his voice soft but firm, "is not the accumulation of more knowledge. It is the ability to see the world with clarity, without the filters of ego and preconceived notions. A cup that is already full has no room to receive more, just as a mind that is closed off cannot accept new truths." Tao stood there in silence, humbled by the realization. For the first time, he felt the weight of his own pride, and it was as though a great burden had been lifted. He understood now that the path to enlightenment was not through the endless gathering of knowledge, but through the emptying of the self, the letting go of attachments and ego. From that day forward, Tao humbled himself before Master Lin, not as a scholar seeking answers, but as a student willing to unlearn everything he thought he knew. He approached every lesson with an open heart and a quiet mind, free from the noise of his former arrogance. And as he emptied his cup of pride, he found himself filled with a wisdom that no text could teach, a wisdom that lived in the silence between thoughts, in the stillness of the moment. Years later, Tao returned to the world, but he was no longer the same man. His knowledge had deepened, not through the endless accumulation of facts, but through the quiet surrender of his ego. He knew now that true wisdom came not from knowing more, but from becoming less, emptying oneself of all that was unnecessary, to make room for the profound truths that lie within us all. And so, the scholar became the teacher, passing on the lesson of the empty cup. To truly learn, one must first empty the cup. Only then can it be filled with the sweetness of wisdom. If you've gained wisdom from this story, please like and subscribe to help support this channel, and please don't forget to turn on the notification bell.